Back to this now. The M20 conference is taking place in Johannesburg. Our reporter Khayelihle Khumalo is live for us in Melrose Arch. Let's go back to him. Khayelihle, of course, you've been engaging with a number of stakeholders at the M20. Key issues really being raised here, particularly as it speaks to media integrity, media freedom, and also some of those key issues that affect the media today.
Well, certainly, Nazi, plenty of issues really being raised here. Currently, as we're just talking to you, one of the major talking points is to be about artificial intelligence, far-reaching implications for the media sector. So now the delegates are really just looking at ways how to deal with some of the very terrible and very negative religious repercussions coming out from these particular aspects. But also, on the other side of the coin, there are some positive that can be harnessed in terms of improving the work of the journalist and making sure that they do reflect extensively all these key issues, especially for South Africa. We know that this is a very important time where the G20 leaders will be descending to our shores for the country to showcase its beauty, but also fixing all sorts of things. But really, to reflect about the significance of today, we're joined by a lady who's quite renowned, of course, Asanda Ngosheng, This Woman Plus. I believe you're part of the board there, Asanda. But let's look at the issues affecting women within the sector. Diversity in our media sector.
Yeah, there's a problem. I mean, I was just saying earlier that one of the biggest issues we have is that women make up the majority in some countries or close to the majority of the population. But when you look at the media outputs, there aren't enough women's voices. And when there are women's voices, they're painted in very specific ways, and they're painted as victims. They're never really spoken to as experts. And when there are women who are called upon as experts, it's usually the same experts, and there isn't enough of a diversity or range. And so one of the issues that has come up here is the fact that there isn't enough gender diversity, both in terms of the actual newsroom, the people working in the newsroom. There might be a lot of women, but women never actually make it to management, or when they do make it to management, they're not actually given decision-making powers or are often excluded. And so what is happening in the newsroom then gets reflected on our screens and on our radios. So where women's voices are not heard, and when they are heard, it's only for a very short time. And I think for me, what's most frustrating is the fact that every Women's Day, we see women experts. And then somehow on the 1st of September, all those women experts that everybody managed to find suddenly disappear as if it's a Cinderella story. And the work that This Woman does is to connect women, particularly women experts, with journalists in order to expand the voices of women. But another critical issue over and above this is the fact that even when women are in the public eye, they are getting their voices heard, they are given the platforms. What then happens is that audiences themselves then dangerously, effectively on social media, but sometimes it can even be in physical attacks, violent attacks on women for telling the truth, for speaking out, for daring to be a woman with a voice. And what we're saying as This Woman is that it really should not be entertained, and it should not be allowed to continue as part of the norm, that women continue to be left out of media, that women continue to be attacked when they do speak out. And this goes, by the way, for also members of the LGBTQIA community. It goes for people who are disabled and many other marginalized groups who often don't get given the platform to be able to share their voices, to be able to share their thoughts and their thinking. And so for me, it's always fascinating to see that we have newsrooms, we have stories that are effectively not representing half of the population. You basically are having a conversation with a minority sometimes of the population, and you are not giving the opportunity to those who are in the majority or close enough to the majority, whose decisions, by the way, these conversations are going to affect. Because whether you're talking about austerity, or you're talking about gender-based violence, or you're talking about any issue, women are at the heart of it and are the most affected. Whether you're talking about unemployment, women have been shown to be unemployed for the longest. Whether you're talking, any issue that you can think of, women are affected, and these politicians and these, the policy makers, they are the ones making decisions as men on behalf of women when they don't even have an understanding or idea what it takes to be a woman, what it takes to live in a woman's body, and what it takes to be successful as a woman, but they make the policies and they determine our lives.
And Asanda, obviously we know that there will be a declaration once the summit ends. And I would imagine, one of the key issues you touched on, cyber misogyny. It's one of the key issues here. But before we just wrap up.
Yeah, I think cyber violence, I like to talk about it as violence because it is violent. It's a very serious issue. I've personally experienced it as a woman who's in the public eye, and I know many others who've experienced it. And this can go from something as simple as being called a slut, something as simple as just general name calling, but it can also be that people physically come and want to attack you for being a woman with a voice. And it's something that there isn't enough safeguarding, both in newsrooms as well as outside of newsrooms, for women who dare to stand up, who dare to speak up. And I'm fortunate, I think, enough as a public figure to have the advantage that there are many people who do like my work and who will often respond on my behalf to those who are attacking me. But I don't think anyone should be attacking anybody and have a right to feel like they can denigrate a woman on the basis of being a woman, because the kinds of comments that I get as a woman, that other women get, are comments that, like, men do not get. And it has nothing to do with anything I've said. It has nothing to do, it's not a criticism of the words coming out of my mouth or anything that I've said. It'll generally be a criticism about me as a person or something about me as a woman. And that really has to stop.
All right. Asanda, quite insightful. So quite a very important time here in Melrose. Obviously, a lot of issues really coming to the fore. And tomorrow we do understand there'll be a declaration. And eventually that declaration will end up in the hands of the G20 leaders. As you know, that South Africa will be hosting this all-important summit. So with that, back to you, Unathi.
Kaya, thank you so much for that. Khayelihle Khumalo out in Melrose Arch there on the first day of the M20.